Now that my inlay materials have been prepared, I'm going to tape the pattern 1 template onto the base material so I can cut out my voids. But because I have so much room here, I'm also going to cut out 3 of them at one time. Something I forgot to mention is you really don't want to have any tape showing inside of this area here where you're going to be cutting out your void, because if you do, then this tape is going to gunk up your router bit and just make the cutting process that much more difficult. So to prevent that from happening again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to trace out the pattern 1 inlay on the base material. That way I will know where I should not put tape. Okay, so now all of my inner shapes have been drawn in there, so now I know where I can start applying tape. So now when I put the tape on, I'm going to avoid my alignment marks and the area that's going to be routed out. Okay, my templates are all securely attached to the base material. Now the thing I have to do is make sure that this doesn't move during the routing process. And the way that we make sure that doesn't move is to secure it to the workbench with a couple of quick release clamps. Now one of the things you have to make sure when you're putting your clamps on here is that the clamp itself does not interfere with the base of the router, because if this interferes with the base of the router, and it does actually hit right here, then the router bit is not going to be able to stay in constant contact with the template wall, and that's important. So make sure your router base does not get interfered with by your clamps. Routing out voids is a two-step process. The first step removes the majority of the material from the void, not necessarily all of it. As you can tell, I got a couple of little knobbies in here. So on the second pass, I will go through and I'll make sure I get rid of all of these little knob things. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure I get nice sharp corners. And the way I do that is I make my second pass by making sure that the bearing is in constant contact with the template wall, and I go around the shape one time, get that nice sharp edge, then I come out and I find these other little areas and I route those out too. As you can tell, I still got a little bit of a knobby here. I missed that somehow or other. Got my corners are nice and sharp. There's a couple of little bumps here. Now I got my choice. I can either go back with the router and take them out, or I can get myself out a nice little chisel and I can scrape them out. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do instead. And if I can do this, scare that one, and now that one is gone. Well, as you can see, these 3 voids have been cut out. So the next thing to do is to take the templates off and then put these 3 templates on and repeat the exact same procedure and cut out the next 3 voids. And really, that's the beauty of this process. It's just the same thing over and over again. I'm just using different shapes. To take off the template, I'm going to use my putty knife here, or paint scraper. I'm going to slide it underneath my template like so, and then I'm slowly going to pry up around the tape itself. You don't have to be in a hurry with this. I just want to pry it up carefully. Now, these things are somewhat pliable. You can bend them, but you can also break them, so use a little bit of care. You'll notice there's a lot of dirt and debris on the back of these templates. So if I don't clean this stuff off before I tape it to the base material here, chances are pretty good it's going not to stick to the tape very well. It's going to move during the routing process. So before I stick this onto the base material, wipe it off. And there you have it. All of the voids have now been cut. And now, I think we are ready to start cutting the inlays.